Hello there, welcome to Craft with Fee. Today we're going to make another TILDA project. This time it's the Dapper Dachshunds. So this is a free pattern on the TILDA World website. It's also the second challenge in our TILDA Lovers Club on Facebook. We're doing two challenges this week. We're doing the Dachshund and we're also making things from the Springtime Gifts book. But the purpose of this video is to make this little doggy, so we will go ahead and do that. Now what I do usually, and I have done it again this time, is I print the pattern sheets straight onto cardboard. So these are the pattern sheets here at the back of your pattern, and all you need to do is to pop two pieces of cardboard into your printer and then print them straight on. Whether or not you use the copy feature or whether you just print straight onto the card, that's entirely up to you. Okay, so what you need to do is actually join your pieces. There are joins that you will see on the pattern sheet, and then you just need to join them with a piece of sticky tape to make your actual templates. So we have the doggy body, then we have the ear, then we have the underside piece here, and then we have the tail. Now the tail does not have written on it how many pieces that you need. You need to cut two of those. So, okay, now if you take a look at the picture on the front of the pattern here, you will notice that most of the doggies are two-toned. So you need to make a decision as to which print you're going to use. Now I love the TILDA florals. I just adore them. And I also love that beautiful TILDA teal colour that she comes out with. So I have chosen this beautiful colour here as the body of my doggy. And I've also chosen the teal that goes with it as my contrast. Okay, so what you need to do, now I've got a fat quarter of the main print, and what I've done is I have put it together with the right sides together, and I didn't do it evenly because this strip here doesn't need to be wasted, and I wanted to keep it. I'm a bit frugal when it comes to fabric, but you can just fold yours straight in half if you're not too much worried about how much you don't use. I'm going to lay it like that. Even though it's up the wrong way, you should be able to get a much better view, I think, if I just move it down there like that. Okay. So what you need to do is you need to put your template of your doggy onto your fabric. Now make sure that you've got plenty of room around it, like so. And then you need to trace around. And you can see here, if I put this up to the camera, that I have traced with a blue line. You can see that blue line going through there? That's my template pattern. Then what the pattern tells you to do is to then cut it out 1/4 of an inch from that line. Now normally in TILDA patterns you would normally sew on that line first, but we're not doing it like that this time. We are actually tracing it out, and then we're going to cut it out 1/4 of an inch from that line. Now I worry that I'm not going to get it to the right measurement unless my 1/4 inch cut is exactly 1/4 of an inch. And so what I did was I've got a 1/4 inch bar that I use in quilting, and I just went along with my pencil and I just made, oops, I'll get you off there. I just made a 1/4 inch mark every now and again all the way around the body of him, and then I went and I drew a 1/4 inch line so that I've got a cutting guide. I wanted to know where my 1/4 inch was, so when I cut him out, I'm cutting him out at 1/4 of an inch. So I've also popped a couple of pins in there to hold the body pieces together while I'm cutting it, because I don't want to get to the point where I find that it's all going to come apart and I've lost my way. So then what we can easily do, I'll try and get this up to the camera here for you, is that we can easily now just cut out on that 1/4 inch line there, and you'll see, hopefully, maybe you can't, yep, you can see that if I cut on that line there, it's going to be pretty easy to follow. And then the blue line that I've got there is my stitching line for when it comes time to stitch him together. So I'm going to do this off camera. I'm not going to bore you with it now, but I'm going to cut him out on that line. Now the other part that you need to do is to get your contrast fabric. So as I said, for me it's the teal here. And then we're going to take our last 3 pattern pieces here, and then we're going to trace the underside piece like that. You can see there. I'll just lift the camera up a little bit, like that. And then with the ears, we're going to, I'll pull that down a bit so you can see, we're going to trace the ears, but we're going to trace 2 of those. So you'll need 2 ears. And then we're going to get the little tail, and then we're going to trace the tail up here, like that. Okay, now we're going to take this to the sewing machine. And along this underside here, you've got 2 markings, one here and one here. Now that's the area that we're going to leave open. And we're then going to stitch on the machine from there all the way up to there, and from here all the way up to here. Now change your stitch length. Mine is set to 2.1 and I change mine down to 1.5. And that'll give you a nice teeny tiny stitch. Can you see there? That little tiny stitch? Hopefully you can. So I've gone ahead and done that in advance. So we're going to stitch, as I said, from here to here and from here to here. Then when it comes to the ears, these ears here, you are going to stitch all the way around. So the whole way around that ear, like that. And then with the tail, you're going to stitch down here and all the way down and around and right back up to the other side. Now the ears and the tail you can just cut out with a 1/4 inch seam, but I'm going to show you once again how I did this 1/4 inch, because we need to cut this one out now. I'll try and get it down. There we go. We need to cut this out 1/4 inch. So what I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use my 1/4 inch bar all the way around to try and make it easier for myself to be able to make that 1/4 inch cutting line, because I don't trust myself. My measurements are never right usually. I don't. Some people can eyeball things like that, but I can't. I need something. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to join these lines with my pencil, just like that, going around with the curve of the underbelly there. And it's just like drawing, you know, connecting the dots. So pretty easy if you use your 1/4 inch tool. So once again, I'll just fix it here at the tail. And all the way around. So I will continue to do that. I'll then go and cut all my pieces out, and I'll be back with you in a sec. Okay, the other thing I didn't mention before was that you need to transfer the little fold on the top of your doggy's ear there. You need to transfer that onto your pattern as well. Make sure that you do that. Okay, so the doggy body is now cut out, so I can remove these pins, put them back into my pin cushion. Okay, and then what we need to do is to take the ears, and we are going to snip around the edges of our ears. Now this is to help it when you turn it, because you want the little curves. When you're doing anything rounded like that, you just need to snip around that edge. Now don't snip into your stitching, you just need to snip just before the stitching, end it just before the stitching. So you will get a much better finish if you clip your curves. So I think I mentioned before you should probably use small scissors for this, but mine are sitting over next to my armchair and they're not within reach. So we're just going to wing it. Okay, so I've snipped around all those edges there, you can see. Now what we're going to do is we're going to separate the 2 pieces like that. I'm going to pinch the top of the ear in half, and then we're going to snip it with the scissors so that we have a slit. See, we have a slit there, and then we're going to snip up both sides of that to make a cross. So you can see there now I have a cross. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn our fabric through that little snipped hole that you've just made. And that's going to be the underside of your ear. So you won't see that. It's going to be the piece of his ear that goes against the body. Then you can just use your fingers, or in my case a bent old knitting needle, and just smooth out those seams there. Just get them nice and smooth. And then you can take it over to the ironing board and give it a press, which I've done to the other ear here, and then you have your ear ready to go. So that's 2 little ears. Then you're going to turn your tail into the right side, I should say, not to the wrong side. I'll do that off camera, but just turn that. And then you're going to fold down these 2 seams to give it a nice, neat end like that. And then set that to the side. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take the underside of your body that you've already stitched, and then you're going to iron it out flat, and then you've got your opening here in the middle, you see, and that's going to be where you stuff your doggy from. Okay, then you're going to take your doggy, one side of your doggy, and you're going to line up I'll just make sure I've got this the right way. Yep, that's the right way. I don't think it really matters, but I'm just checking. So what you need to do is just need to pin that onto your body. So you're going to match up the little feet, right sides together. Oops. So there we go, that way. So we've got the right side of your teal to the right side of your doggy. Line those little feet up. And then we're going to stitch all the way around. So I'll go ahead and pin that off camera, but we're going to stitch from the top of our stitching here all the way around and back up to here. Okay, so he's all stitched down here like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to then lay the next piece over the top like that. And then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to join him all up and stitch all the way around. So effectively you will have the whole underside of the body stitched in. If you can see there what I mean. So you just need to lay him down like that. If you can see what I'm working on there, yes you can. So we're just going to pin it all in place. And as I said, we will then just sew around again. And then I'll be back. Okay, so we have the whole underside of our little doggy sewn in. And you'll see here that it's sewn in like that. Okay, so now what you can do is to lay your little doggy down, and what we're going to do is stitch all the way around the remainder of the dog. So we'll pin him here. So we're going to go from the butt of the tail, where the butt of the tail would be, all the way around. I'll just get it pinned up to this ear point. Okay, I've actually pinned past the ear, so I have pinned right around right here to where the stitching starts. So you can go ahead now and stitch from the bottom of the tail here all the way around. Okay, he's all sewn together. So there he is. You can see there he has his little legs, his 4 little legs, and his little body. So what we're going to do now is this shape here that we've traced onto our pattern on both sides. We are going to match them like so, and then we're just going to sew along that triangle. Just let me get it up here. It might be better if I stitch it first, but what we're going to do is just sew from one side of the head to the other side of the head, and it's going to give you a flat back, if you know what I mean. So if you match those 2 triangles, and you're going to fold the triangle in half so that you've got half of your triangle there and half there, and you're going to do the same on the other side, and then you'll stitch across. I'll go and stitch mine and bring it back and show you. Okay, hopefully you can see that. So this is his nose coming down through here. So you have the front of his nose, and then up the back here where we had those 2 marks on the pattern, we have folded them over and then we've sewn straight across so that we can just cut that off, and then that will be top of the head. So if you see it back on like that, can you sort of see there what it does? Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to clip all of our curves. Once again, we're going to turn the little doggy in the right way. We are then going to stuff him through the base. Once he's stuffed nice and tight, we will stitch that closed. Then we will stitch the little ears on, use the pattern sheet for the placement. And then I think we've got to embroider the nose and put some eyes on, and then I will stuff the tail and attach that to the back of the body as well. And then I'll come back and show you how I went. Well, there he is, all finished. So he's looking very dapper dachshund. The fabrics come up beautifully. I'm very happy with the colours. What I did do was make another ear out of felt and popped it on the inside to cover up that cut, because I knew it was there. Even though you couldn't see it, I did know that it was there, so I really wanted to just cover that up. Little tail goes on beautifully. I've embroidered the little nose here. I wish in hindsight I had have stuffed these a little bit tighter. I've got them pretty tight, but when he's been standing on his legs for a bit long, he's got a bit of a fold there happening. So just be careful when you're doing that. I've given him a collar, so he's got a bit of bling there on the front of him. He's got little round eyes that I've cut out and stuck on. Yeah, I think he's looking pretty good. He's a nice looking papa dog. So anyway, I hope that you too make yourself a little dapper dachshund, and that you enjoy the process in making him. It's always a learning curve when you're making something for the first time. If I was to make another one, and I probably will after my grandchildren see this, I would just do a few things differently. As I said, I was pretty careful when I was stuffing the legs, that I was putting small pieces in to make sure it was nice and firm, but there is a fine line between getting it firm and overstuffing, so I was just really mindful of that. But yeah, in hindsight, I would have gone a bit tighter down through this elbow area here. But other than that, I mean, he does stand on his own, but these little legs do bend a little bit. But my 21-year-old daughter has seen him, fallen in love with him, and taken possession of him. So I thought I'd better get the video of him before he moves up into her bedroom and I never see him again. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed the video. See you next week. Bye.